The stars were burning. Whole planets glowed red in the dark void like dying embers, and the warships that filled the black skies tore each other apart in silence. Among this chaos, a single human shuttle drifted, lost, powerless, and almost invisible. Inside, Eli Vance stared at the blinking red lights on his console. He had been a cargo pilot, not a soldier. One navigation error, one wrong jump through the wormhole, and he'd entered someone else's war. Outside, explosions flashed like lightning, shaking his small craft. He didn't understand the languages echoing over the comms, harsh alien tones, desperate cries. Then out of the static came a single clear word in English. Human. Help. Eli froze. The signal was weak, broken, but unmistakable. Someone out there knew about humans. Someone needed him. He swallowed hard and looked out the cracked viewport. Far away, a massive battleship, scarred and bleeding fire, was turning slowly toward him. He hesitated. He could run. He could hide and wait for the chaos to end. But that voice, it didn't sound like a monster. It sounded afraid. He powered up his engines. The moment he moved, the enemy noticed. Blue plasma bolts streaked past his ship, slicing the void. His sensors screamed warnings. He dove, rolled, and somehow slid through the crossfire. Every movement was instinct, every decision desperate. He wasn't supposed to be here. He wasn't supposed to survive, but he did. He docked with the dying battleship just as its energy field collapsed. The airlock opened with a hiss and a wave of heat and smoke rushed in. Eli pulled on his helmet and stepped inside. Bodies floated in the air, not human, but tall silver-skinned beings with eyes that glowed faintly in the dark. He could feel the life support systems failing. The ship was dying. And then he saw her. A soldier lying near the control deck, bleeding from a wound across her chest. When she saw him, her eyes widened. "Human," she whispered again. He knelt beside her, trying to understand her words. Her voice trembled as she handed him a small metal device, a cube glowing faintly blue. "Core must not fall." Eli looked around. The floor trembled under his boots. Whatever was attacking outside would destroy this ship soon. He didn't know what the cube was, but the way she looked at it told him everything. It mattered more than her life. Before he could say anything, she pushed his hand closed around it. "Save us." And then she was gone. Eli stood there, the cube pulsing faintly in his palm. Outside, explosions shook the hull. He ran back to his shuttle, clutching the device, and pulled away from the ship just as it exploded into light. The shockwave hurled his small craft through space. Systems failed one by one. Alarms screamed. The cube glowed brighter, as if reacting to the chaos, and suddenly his ship wasn't falling anymore. It was moving itself. The controls shifted on their own. The stars outside blurred. He wasn't flying. He was being taken. When the light faded, he found himself above a planet, lush and green, untouched by war. The cube floated from his hand, hovering midair, spinning faster. It projected a map. Thousands of systems connected by glowing lines. One after another, red marks appeared across them. Battle zones, invasions, falling worlds. And in the center of it all, a single blinking mark, blue, where he was now. The cube spoke in a calm, synthetic voice. "Human presence confirmed. Protocol 7 initiated. Savior sequence online." Eli's mouth went dry. "Savior? I'm no savior." But the cube ignored him. "You are the last neutral life form in the conflict zone. You will decide the fate of this galaxy." He laughed once, short, nervous, broken. "You've got the wrong guy." And then from the clouds below something rose. Huge towers of metal, floating cities, lights flickering like fireflies. Ships flew in tight formations, and in the center of them was a symbol, the same one that glowed on the cube. They were coming for him. The radio crackled. "Human craft, identify yourself." Eli stared at the communicator. He didn't know what to say. His mind raced. This was insane. He was a delivery pilot from Earth, not a warrior, not a hero. But the alien's dying words echoed again in his mind. "Save us." He pressed the button. "This is Eli Vance. I don't know who you are, but I think I have something that belongs to you." There was a pause. Then the voice replied, calm but cold. "Then you have just become the most wanted being in this galaxy." The transmission cut. The alien fleet began to surround him. His ship shook as tractor beams locked on. Eli gritted his teeth and looked down at the cube. It pulsed once more, faster this time, like a heartbeat. "Let's see what you can really do," he whispered. The cube flared, and his ship vanished in a burst of blue light. No one saw where he went, but the war was about to change forever. When Eli opened his eyes, he wasn't in his ship anymore. He was standing on soft ground, surrounded by tall silver trees that shimmered like glass. The air was cool and sweet, and the sky above him glowed faint blue. Not the black of space, but a strange twilight that never ended. His ship lay behind him, half buried in moss and dirt. Smoke rose slowly from its hull. The cube and the glowing artifact floated above it, still pulsing with that strange blue light. Eli rubbed his head. "Okay," he muttered. "Where the hell am I?" The cube answered in its calm, synthetic voice. "Location, unrecorded world. Designation, Core Haven. Time, irrelevant." "Unrecorded?" Eli frowned. "You're saying no one's been here?" "Correction," the cube said. "No one alive." A chill ran through him. He looked around carefully. Everything seemed peaceful. Too peaceful. No birds, no wind, no movement. The trees stood perfectly still, as if holding their breath. Then he saw it, a tower rising in the distance. Metallic, ancient, glowing faintly with the same light as the cube. He started walking. The cube floated beside him, humming softly. After some time, he reached the base of the tower. It was massive, bigger than any building he'd seen on Earth. The doors opened automatically as he approached, and a voice echoed from inside. "Welcome, human. You have arrived." Eli stepped inside. The walls were covered in symbols, spirals, circles, and patterns that moved like living code. In the center of the room was a tall figure made of light. It looked humanoid but not solid, like a projection of something greater. "Who are you?" Eli asked. "I am the core intelligence," it said. "I protect what remains of the First Empire. You have something that belongs to me." Eli held up the cube. "This thing?" The figure nodded. "That is the heart of the network. It connects every world, every fleet, every mind that once stood against the Shadow War." Shadow War? The light flickered. The war that destroyed us. The war still raging across the stars. "You have seen it." Eli thought of the burning ships, the dying alien soldier, her last words. "Save us." He took a deep breath. "I didn't come here to fight anyone. I just want to go home." The core intelligence stepped closer. "You cannot return. The wormhole that brought you here is gone, but you are not without purpose. You carry the last hope of countless worlds." Eli shook his head. "You've got to be kidding me. I'm a cargo pilot, not a hero." The core didn't move. "The heart has chosen you. Only a neutral being, one untouched by our wars, can restart the network." Eli stared at the cube. "So what happens if I refuse?" "Then everything dies." Silence filled the tower. Outside, the sky darkened. Strange shapes began to move beyond the tree line. Tall, shadowy forms with glowing red eyes. They moved silently, spreading like smoke. The core turned toward them. "They have found you. The shadow ones follow the heart's signal." Eli's pulse quickened. "You mean they're coming here?" "Yes, you must leave. Take the heart to the skies. Activate the beacon." "I don't even know what that means," Eli shouted. The core reached out its glowing hand. The cube floated back into Eli's grasp. "Trust the heart, it will guide you. Run, human." The tower began to shake. Cracks formed on the walls. The light around the core flickered. Eli ran. He sprinted out of the tower as explosions lit the forest behind him. The shadows moved faster now, gliding across the ground, claws slicing through the air. He stumbled toward his crashed ship. Come on," he shouted, slamming his hand on the controls. The engine sputtered, coughed, then roared to life. The cube glowed brightly, projecting symbols across the cockpit. Coordinates locked. "Beacon route established. Just fly," Eli yelled. The ship lifted off, barely escaping the shadows below. As he rose higher, the planet looked wrong, not beautiful anymore, but hollow, like something had drained the life out of it long ago. Then he saw them, dozens of dark ships rising from the far horizon, sharp and silent like predators. "Hostile fleet approaching," the cube said. Eli gripped the controls. "You think?" Lasers flashed. The first shot hit his right wing, spinning him off course. The cube pulsed harder. "Activating defense system." Panels in the ship opened, revealing weapons he didn't even know existed. Blue fire burst out, slicing through the attackers. Eli gasped as the ship moved on its own, dodging blasts with perfect precision. He wasn't flying anymore. The ship, or the cube, was fighting for him. Within minutes, the sky was empty again. The dark ships were gone. Eli sat back, breathing hard. What are they? Remnants of the shadow, the cube replied. Machines born from what was lost. They hunt the heart to end all life. Eli looked out the window at the endless void beyond. Why me? He whispered. Because humans do not surrender, the cube said. You are our last chance, he didn't answer. His hands trembled slightly on the controls. He had no idea where he was going. No idea what he was supposed to do. But something deep inside told him this wasn't random. Maybe he wasn't supposed to be here. But maybe, just maybe, he was needed here. The cube's light grew steady again. Next destination, Lyra Station. The War Council awaits, Eli frowned. War Council? They're expecting me? Yes, the cube said. They believe their savior has arrived. Eli laughed softly, tired, uncertain, afraid. Let's hope they're not disappointed. As his ship jumped into light, the shadow world disappeared behind him, but something dark followed, hidden just beyond the stars. The war was watching. And it had just found its new enemy. The jump ended with a sharp flash. Eli's ship fell out of light, and in front of him hung a massive structure, a ring-shaped station orbiting a dying blue star. Its surface glittered with energy fields and defensive guns the size of buildings. Ships of every shape and color circled it like bees around a hive. Welcome to Lyra Station, the cube said. The last meeting place of free civilizations. Eli stared. That doesn't look very free. Looks more like a fortress. Freedom, the cube replied, requires strength. As his ship approached, a dozen alien fighters surrounded him. Their pilots spoke in a dozen strange languages, and then the cube translated. You are escorted to the council chamber, human. Do not resist. Wouldn't dream of it, Eli muttered, guiding his ship into the station's docking bay. The moment the airlock opened, he was met by guards, tall reptilian beings in dark armor. Their eyes glowed yellow behind face masks, and their weapons looked advanced enough to melt steel. One of them stepped forward and spoke in a cold tone. You carry the heart, Eli nodded slowly. Yeah, it kind of followed me home. They didn't laugh. They turned and motioned for him to follow. The corridors of Lyra Station were wide and metallic, humming with energy. Everywhere Eli looked, he saw different species. Winged creatures with crystal skin, humanoids with silver eyes, and small floating drones that whispered to each other in static. Every face turned toward him as he passed. He could feel their fear, their curiosity, and their disbelief. Finally, they entered a great hall. A massive table stood in the center, surrounded by towering figures in robes and armor. Above them, a holographic map showed the galaxy, half of it glowing red with enemy control. At the far end of the table sat a being unlike the others, tall, calm, with silver markings across his skin. His eyes glowed faint blue. When he spoke, the voice was deep and steady. You are the human? Eli nodded. Yes, I guess I am. I am Admiral Kale, commander of the United Defense Council, the being said. We have waited centuries for your arrival. Eli blinked. Centuries? You've got the wrong guy. I just got lost. Kale's expression didn't change. The heart of the network chooses, not us. You now hold the only key that can restore the beacon worlds. The systems that once gave us victory. Eli shook his head. I don't even know how to use it. It talks to me, but it doesn't exactly give instructions. Kyle looked at the glowing cube hovering beside him. Then listened carefully. The shadows are not a race. They are a disease. A weapon that consumes light, energy, and memory. They spread by corrupting machines, minds, and planets. The heart is the cure, the last fragment of the core intelligence. With it you can awaken the Guardians. Guardians? Kale touched the hologram. Massive shapes appeared and colossal ships, each larger than a moon. Ancient human-built vessels, he said. Your kind helped design them before vanishing from our history. Eli's mouth fell open. Wait, humans were here before? Yes, Kyle said softly. Thousands of years ago, your people walked among the stars. They brought unity. Then they vanished. We thought they were myths. But now the heart has chosen another human, you. Eli stared at the glowing map. So what do you want me to do? Wave this cube and fix your galaxy? Kale's tone hardened. We want you to survive long enough to try. The shadows already know you exist. They will not stop. Before Eli could answer, alarms blared through the hall. Red lights flashed across the walls. A voice shouted, "Shadow Fleet incoming." "They've found the station." Cale turned to his officers. "Activate all defenses. Protect the Heart-Bearer." Eli froze. "Heart-Bearer? Oh, great. I have a title now." The cube pulsed urgently. "Hostile energy detected. Recommend evacuation." Cale grabbed a weapon from the table and tossed it to him, a sleek plasma pistol, humming with power. "Follow me. We must reach the command bridge." They ran through the corridors as the station shook from distant explosions. Outside the windows, space lit up with battle. Bright blue lasers cutting through the dark, ships breaking apart like fireworks. The noise grew louder. Eli stumbled as the floor tilted under his feet. "How are they finding us this fast?" "The shadows track the heart signal," the cube said. "They hunger for it." "Yeah, well, they can't have it." They reached the bridge, a vast room with a panoramic view of the battle outside. Officers shouted commands, holograms flickered, and the air trembled with tension. Kyle stood tall at the center. "Target the lead ship. Focus fire." Outside, the largest enemy vessel, a dark spire-shaped monster, began to glow red. Then suddenly its hull split open and something emerged, a shadow shaped like a serpent stretching miles long. Its body absorbed light, stars dimmed around it. Eli stared in horror. "What is that?" Cale's voice was grim. "That is a harbinger, one of the shadow's living weapons. If it reaches the station, we're finished." The cube flared bright blue. "Heart energy compatible. I can engage." Eli hesitated. "Engage? You mean fight that thing?" "Yes, but you must connect." Before he could ask how, the cube flew straight into his chest and vanished. He gasped, clutching his chest. Blue light spread under his skin, veins glowing like circuits. His vision blurred, replaced by streams of data, symbols, and voices. Then he felt the station, every gun, every ship, every soldier, as if they were extensions of himself. He spoke, but his voice wasn't his own anymore. "Target lock confirmed." Cale turned, eyes wide. "He's merging with the heart." Outside, beams of blue energy shot from the station, slicing through the harbinger's body. The monster screamed, a sound that echoed through metal and bone alike, and began to disintegrate. When the light faded, nothing was left but drifting ash. The station fell silent. Eli collapsed to his knees, gasping for breath. The cube reappeared beside him, dim but still glowing. "Connection complete. Efficiency 72%. Subject stable." Cale stepped forward slowly. "You just destroyed a harbinger, human. No one has ever done that." Eli looked up, his eyes still faintly glowing blue. "Yeah," he whispered. "Let's hope there aren't more." Cale placed a hand on his shoulder. "There are thousands." Eli swallowed hard. "Then we better start fighting back." Outside, the red zone on the galactic map flickered, and for the first time in centuries, a small part of it turned blue again. The legend of the human savior had begun. After the battle, the station was eerily quiet. Smoke and debris drifted across the observation decks, but the crew moved efficiently, repairing shields and recalibrating weapons. Eli sat alone in the command bridge, still glowing faintly blue from the heart's connection. His mind was a whirlwind of symbols, data streams, and memories that weren't entirely his. The cube hovered beside him, pulsing softly. "Analysis indicates biological and cognitive adaptation. Human interface is stabilizing." Eli rubbed his temples. "Adaptation? You mean I'm changing?" "Partially. The heart integrates neural patterns to enhance survival and efficiency." He shook his head. "I didn't ask to be enhanced. I just wanted to survive." Before the cube could answer, Cale entered holding a small tablet. His eyes were tired but sharp. "Human," he said, "it is time you learned why you are here and why your kind is crucial to this war." Eli sighed. "Go on, enlighten me." Cale activated the tablet. A hologram projected an image of Earth, or a world very much like it. Cities, forests, oceans, all pristine, untouched by the chaos beyond the stars. Then slowly the image shifted, showing ships rising into space, glowing blue as they traveled through wormholes. "Thousands of years ago," Kyle began, "humans spread across the galaxy, not as conquerors but as unifiers. Your ancestors designed the core network. An energy system connecting fleets, planets, and even life itself. It allowed peace and coordination among civilizations. Eli blinked. Peace sounds like a fairy tale. Kale nodded. It was, then the shadows appeared. They are not just machines. They are remnants of a war that destroyed the first core network. They consume civilizations, erase histories, and twist living beings into weapons. Your ancestors fought them but failed. To protect the galaxy, humans vanished, hiding in myths and legends. And now, his eyes met Eli's. The heart has chosen another human. Eli stared at the cube, finally understanding why it had drawn him here. So I'm supposed to fix something that humans couldn't even stop centuries ago? Yes, Kyle said. But there is more. The shadows are intelligent. They can anticipate conventional attacks. Only someone neutral, unbound by our politics and grudges, can wield the heart effectively. That someone is you, Eli swallowed. Neutral, you mean because I don't belong to any of this? Correct. You are untainted by centuries of war. That is why you survived the Harbinger, and that is why you will awaken the Guardians. Guardians, Eli muttered, recalling the massive ships he had seen earlier. I barely know how to pilot my ship, let alone command them. Kale's expression was serious. You do not command them in the traditional sense. The heart allows you to synchronize with their systems, merge your decisions with theirs, and operate them as extensions of your own will. The galaxy may see humans as fragile, but their ingenuity is unmatched. That is your legacy. Eli laughed nervously. Fragile? Ingenious? Sounds like humans are being blamed and praised at the same time. Kale's tone softened. It is not blame, human. It is recognition. You are the bridge between what was lost and what can be rebuilt. Eli looked out of the observation window. Beyond the station, the war still raged. Red fleets moved like insects across star systems. Smoke and fire burned in the void, and he realized for the first time that this wasn't just some distant war. It was a war for life itself. The cube pulsed and spoke. Shadow energy detected in proximity. Likely scouts observing Lyra Station. Eli's stomach tightened. So they know I'm here. They're coming for me again. Kale nodded grimly. And if they take you, the heart falls, the Guardians cannot awaken, and the shadows will finish what they started. Eli clenched his fists. Great, just me against everything. Kale placed a firm hand on his shoulder. Not everything. We will stand with you. The Council has the fleets, but your decisions will guide us. Humans think small, act boldly. That is what we need now. The cube hovered closer, its glow steady and reassuring. Connection with heart restored. Neural integration at 85%. You are ready for Guardian activation. Eli swallowed hard. Ready? I barely understand half of what's going on. You will understand, Kale said. When the Guardians awaken, they will teach you, not the other way around. Your role is to survive, to act, and to inspire. Eli closed his eyes. Inspire, right. I hope I can do that without dying first. Kale nodded. You will not die here. Not while the heart flows through you. But you must act. The shadows will not wait, and they will not hesitate. Your next move will define the war. Eli opened his eyes. He looked down at the cube, glowing faintly blue. He felt the weight of history, the responsibility of a lost civilization, and the power now coursing through him. For the first time, he didn't feel like a stranger in this galaxy. He felt needed. The observation window flickered as red dots appeared on the holographic star map. Shadow scouts, fast, efficient, ruthless, Eli swallowed. So step 1, kill them? Kale shook his head. Not kill, survive, lead, awaken the Guardians. Let them tip the balance. And remember, human, you are their hope but also their shield. Eli took a deep breath. He felt the cube pulse against his chest. A surge of energy spread through him, not pain but clarity. For the first time, he could see the battlefield differently. The positions of ships, the pulse of energy from enemy weapons, the flow of life across the galaxy. He whispered softly, almost to himself. All right, let's wake them up. The cube glowed brighter than ever. Streams of light spread across the station, down to the docks, out to the waiting fleets. Eli felt the call of the Guardians, colossal machines, slumbering for centuries, waiting for a human to lead them once more. Outside, the red dots on the map surged closer. The shadows had arrived, and humanity's last hope was ready to fight. Eli stood on the command bridge of Lyra Station, staring at the stars outside. They were alive with movement. Red fleets advancing in waves, shadow scouts darting like insects. He felt the cube pulsing in his chest, syncing with his heartbeat, syncing with the station, syncing with the galaxy itself. The Guardians were waiting. Massive ships slumbering for centuries hidden in the void, coated with human ingenuity long forgotten by all but legends. Their blue lights began to flicker on the holographic map, signaling life, responding to the heart. Kale stepped beside him. The heart connects you to them. Feel them. Think as one with them. Your will guide their actions. Eli swallowed. Think as one? I can barely think as one person right now. The cube pulsed sharply. Connection threshold reached. Neural synchronization possible. He took a deep breath, closed his eyes, and focused. For a moment, everything went silent. The hum of the station, the alarms, even his own heartbeat faded. Then a surge of power exploded inside him. Images of countless ships, weapons, fleets, coordinates, energy streams. He gasped. I can see them. Feel them. The Guardians answered his unspoken thoughts. Massive shapes moved across the holographic map, stretching from one end of the galaxy to the other. Each one was a giant sentinel, armored and glowing with core energy. Eli could feel their strength, their patience, their centuries of slumber waiting for a human mind to awaken them. Kyle watched him closely. They will obey only your commands. But their minds are ancient, their power immense. Treat them with respect. Eli nodded, still stunned by the connection. I think I understand. Not like pilots. Not like soldiers. They follow intent, not orders. Yes, Kale said. Your intent is their command. Now, they are needed. The station shuddered violently. Alarms screamed. Outside, a massive shadow fleet had jumped into the system. Thousands of dark ships forming a wave of destruction. In the center, a monstrous vessel, larger than anything Eli had seen before, pulsed with red energy. Its surface twisting as if alive. The cube glowed brighter. Hostile classification, Harbinger Prime. Energy output exceeds threshold. Probability of station survival low. Eli's stomach tightened. He could see the station's defenses, the council ships, and the fleets surrounding them. All of them ready to fight, but none strong enough to stop the Harbinger Prime alone. He raised his hands instinctively, and the Guardians responded. Massive blue arcs of energy streamed from the station's docks, connecting with the sleeping ships in the void. One by one, the colossal Guardians awoke, engines humming, lights blazing. Their shapes became visible as they soared from hidden docks, massive and awe-inspiring, stretching miles across space. Kale's jaw dropped. By the core, they actually listened to him. Eli felt the heart inside him surge with power. He directed his thoughts. Engage the Harbinger Prime, surround it, contain it. The Guardians obeyed instantly. They moved like liquid giants cutting through the shadow fleet. Red lasers clashed with blue energy beams. Explosions lit up the void as massive ships collided. Smaller fleets scrambled to avoid being crushed between the titans. Eli's mind raced. He could feel the Guardians anticipate enemy moves before they happened. He didn't need to pilot. He just had to think. His heart pounded. He felt fear, adrenaline, and a strange exhilaration. A shadow strike hit one of the Guardians. A blue light flashed across his vision and a warning. He focused, sent intent to it, and the Guardian adapted, its shields shifting instantly, absorbing the blast. He whispered to himself, almost in disbelief. I'm doing it. The Harbinger Prime struck again, tearing through the Council's ships. Eli's pulse synchronized with the heart, and he saw its weakness, a glowing core exposed just beneath the red plating. Focus. Target the core. The Guardians surged. Massive energy tendrils wrapped around the Harbinger Prime, restraining it. Eli guided them, feeling their strength like an extension of his own arms. One massive blow shattered part of the enemy vessel's hull, sending pieces spinning into the void. Outside, the shadow fleet faltered, disorganized now, its command chain broken. The Guardians moved as one, crushing and containing. Blue light filled the darkness, pushing back the red wave. Kale watched, awe written across his face. He's not human. Not like us, but he is human. Eli felt a surge of power. The cube pulsed furiously. Warning, core integration overload imminent. He gritted his teeth. I can do this, just a little more. The Guardians delivered a final strike. The Harbinger Prime exploded, scattering fragments across the void. Shadow ships that remained retreated, fleeing into darkness. The galaxy felt quieter. Safer. For the first time in centuries, Eli collapsed to his knees. His chest burned, the glow fading, the heart returning to the cube beside him. Sweat dripped down his face, his hands trembling. Kale approached slowly. "You just saved the station. And maybe more." Eli looked at him. "Saved it? I just didn't die." Kale smiled faintly. "No, you directed Titans. You changed the course of a war. Humans may be fragile, Eli, but you are a force the galaxy cannot ignore." Eli shook his head, exhausted. "I'm still just a guy from Earth. I don't even know half the people here. I don't belong in this galaxy." Kale's gaze was steady. "No, human. You do belong, not because you were born here, but because you chose to act when the galaxy needed you most." The cube hovered beside him, glowing softly. Neural integration stabilized. Guardian synchronization complete. Probability of shadow resurgence, 42%, Eli groaned. 42%, so we're not done yet. Kale nodded grimly. "No, but you've just proved what humans can do, even one human. And now the galaxy knows that hope is not extinct." Eli stared at the stars outside the station. The galaxy was vast, dangerous, and alive with war. But for the first time, he felt the weight of power, the thrill of possibility, and the promise that humans, even a single one, could make a difference. He whispered softly to himself, "Let them come. I'm ready." And somewhere in the shadowed reaches of space, the remnants of the enemy fleet watched, waiting, calculating, and hungry. The war was far from over. Eli floated in the command deck of Lyra Station, staring at the galaxy beyond the reinforced windows. The stars were alive with movement, fleets of guardians, council ships, and scattered enemy remnants. Silence settled for a brief moment, but the calm was fragile. Somewhere out there, the shadows were still lurking, waiting for weakness. The cube pulsed softly beside him. Shadow core detected. Location Solaria Rift. It is preparing to regenerate. Probability of success without intervention. Minimal. Eli ran his hand through his hair. "Of course it is. Nothing easy." Kale's voice echoed behind him. "Human, it falls to you. The heart will guide you, but the choice is yours. The Shadow's leader must be destroyed. Only then will the galaxy be free." Eli nodded, gripping the cube. He had learned much in the past weeks. How to guide the Guardians, how to sense the flow of energy across the stars, how to act not as a soldier, but as a human capable of hope, creativity, and courage. The Solaria Rift was dark, a void between two dying suns. Shadows moved like smoke, coalescing into massive forms, and at the center floated the Shadow Core, a pulsating mass of red energy, writhing and alive, emitting waves of destruction. Eli felt the cube respond. Blue energy streamed into him, into his mind. He could see the core, its every weakness, its every defense. The Guardians awaited his command. He took a deep breath. "All right, let's finish this." The Guardians surged from hidden locations, their massive forms filling the rift. Their engines glowed, shields flared, and weapons charged. Eli's mind guided them like an orchestra, every movement precise, every attack synchronized. The shadows reacted, massive tendrils of energy lashing out. Fleet after fleet of dark ships attempted to shield the core, but Eli felt them all, predicted their moves, and countered effortlessly. The Guardians moved as extensions of his will. He could feel the fear of those shadows, the way their energy pulsed in response to the heart. It was alive, and it hated him for existing. A massive tentacle of red energy swung at one of the Guardians. Eli focused, sending intent into its circuits. The ship twisted, dodged, and fired in one fluid motion, cutting the tentacle in half. He could feel the machine's strength in his own muscles, its precision in his own thoughts. "Keep moving. Don't give them a chance to regroup," he shouted, though his voice seemed muffled against the hum of the heart. The Shadow Core pulsed brighter, then split into smaller, faster cores, a swarm of destruction. Eli's pulse raced. He had never felt anything so alive and so dangerous. But he did not panic. He thought clearly, guiding the Guardians, and focused on a single strategy: isolate the main core. One by one, the smaller cores were neutralized. Their energy drained, pulled into the Guardians' shields. Eli's mind was a storm of calculations, movements, and decisions, yet his humanity kept him calm. He didn't act out of anger, only necessity. Finally, only the main Shadow Core remained. It pulsed violently, sending shockwaves across space. One guardian rammed forward, latching onto the core. Eli directed all the others to restrain it. He felt the core's consciousness trying to invade his mind, a flood of rage and malice. Images of dead planets, twisted civilizations, and lost lives surged into him. Eli faltered, almost overwhelmed. But then he remembered Earth, remembered why he was here. He remembered the alien soldier's last words. Save us. He remembered the core's power, and he remembered the humans who had walked among the stars long ago. Leaving hope behind in legends with a roar, he focused his mind entirely on the heart. Streams of blue energy exploded from him, flowing through the Guardians, into the Shadow Core. The core screamed, thrashing violently. Light clashed with darkness, power against malice, and then with a final surge the Shadow Core shattered. Red light scattered across the rift, dissolving into nothing. Shadow screamed, retreated, and disappeared. Silence fell. The Guardians hovered, colossal and magnificent, their lights glowing softly. The galaxy was still. Eli sank to his knees, exhausted. The cube floated back to him, pulsing faintly. Shadow Core destroyed. Network integrity restored. Probability of resurgence negligible. Kyle approached slowly, his eyes wide with awe. You did it. The heart has chosen wisely. Humanity has returned to the galaxy. Through you. Eli shook his head, exhausted but smiling faintly. I'm just me. I didn't do this alone, Kale nodded. No, but you led. You inspired. And that is enough. One human doing what others could not changed the fate of the galaxy. Outside, stars seemed brighter. Worlds that had fallen into shadow began to pulse with energy. The core network reconnected slowly, one system at a time. Life would rebuild. Civilizations would flourish again. And somewhere deep in the stars, humans would remember, if only through legends, that their kind had once been saviors. Eli stood, tired but resolute. He looked at the cube. So, what now? The cube pulsed softly. Now you are the galaxy's protector. The heart remains with you. Guardians await. The war is over. For now. Eli smiled. Then let's make sure it stays over. Kyle placed a hand on his shoulder. The galaxy owes you a debt it may never fully repay. But humans never stop fighting, do they? Eli chuckled. No, we don't. The Guardians moved gracefully, patrolling the system. The shadows were gone, but the stars felt alive, watching, waiting, and knowing that humanity had returned. And somewhere, deep in his chest, the heart pulsed, steady, strong, and alive. A reminder that one human could change everything. Eli Vance looked out at the galaxy he had saved, and for the first time he felt truly at home among the stars. He had entered a galaxy at war, and walked out its savior.